episode of Encourage Mindset, a podcast that's really about brightening, challenging yourself, and most importantly, motivation. Alongside me today, I have a great guest, Eric Smith. He's going to be talking a lot about what he's currently doing and a lot about his story as well and some of his passions and motivations. Eric, welcome to the show. And why don't you tell the audience a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, no, thanks. Thanks for having me, Ethan. It's my first podcast. So
There you go.
cool to do it with you for sure. I mean, in a nutshell, I'm just a roofer, man. I've been in roofing for, I think, going on 22 years in some way, shape, or form. Started a roofing company when I was really young, 21 years old, and exited that company through a sale and stayed around the industry and other means and just started this company about a year and a half ago. So taking a second run at it.
Yeah, I think that's what's really cool, right? You had that entrepreneur's spirit at a young age. What do you think got you into wanting to start your own business?
You know, I think on some level, I think I wanted to, but on another level, it just kind of happened. Uh, I grew up, single mom, pretty poor, low income environment, and I remember at a young age just being really aware of that, and being at friends' house and just kind of really paying attention to why friends had a bigger house and like what were their parents doing, and just being hyper aware of the fact that I didn't want to be in that place when I grew up. And in college, my stepdad at the time was selling roofs, and I was working in a call center and hated it. And going to school full time, working full time, and just made the leap and got out knocking doors and started selling roofs. And I was with a really good company, really good owners, and then they had a breakup, and the dynamic changed. And so myself and another guy at the company were just like, well, let's just do this on our own, and I think that's a pretty common story in roofing, kind of how people get started. We knew how to knock the doors. We knew how to order the materials. We knew how to schedule the crews and kind of what all was involved. And so it was just sort of a thing that happened, and we had a lot of success, and I guess the rest is history, I guess.
Yeah, so you quote unquote won in your professional life very early on with that business, and obviously now it's led to what you're doing today. But what does winning mean to you outside of work?
Man, that's such a good question, because being just money starved as a kid for so much of my life, it was financial, right? In that first company, it was financial. And don't get me wrong, I myself and my partner had very strong moral fibers and really worked to do the right thing. But I mean, the main intention was, hey, how many roofs can we get? A storm just hit. Let's go do some volume. And we got a pretty good following quickly just through friends and word of mouth, and grew really fast. And it was all money. And really, that's kind of what led to our exit. I don't know if I knew that at the time, but we had this big growth, and then storm stopped. And we didn't really have the entrepreneurship maturity at the time to really know what to do at that point.
Mhm.
And we were just kind of burned out of building sales teams that kept turning over like that. That's how that kind of works in that door knocking cycle. And so we ended up selling just because we were burnt out. And I know now today it was because it was so heavy on the financial goals. And once we kind of got there, I think there wasn't a piece of fulfillment there anymore. And I thought I'd never own a company again. And so when I left, I joined other companies. I helped other companies scale inside roofing, not roofing companies, but like on the claim side, I worked for a public adjusting company. I worked for a restoration company. And as I've matured and seen other people do it, and just became more aware of myself and then more aware of the market, now this time around, it's different. Like, it's a different fulfillment. It's a legacy fulfillment. It's a, how can this be built more with a foundation of customer principles and a foundation of reputation and everything that comes along with that. Stability, being able to grow people's careers within our own company, even if that means we're growing them to move outside of our company and advance themselves. Like there's just more of a, you always got to look at bottom line, right? But there's just now for me, it's more, I'm 41 years old. I have kids. You think about legacy a little bit more.
I like that
As
you
you
brought
mature.
that up because that was going to be kind of one of my questions today, was talking about like what type of legacy do you want people around you to remember? And it seems like you really switched gears to like, I don't care about the financials anymore. I care about, the peace of mind, and I care about family and friends, and I care about, coworkers and all those things. So that's really cool. But how do you balance then? Because you still want to be ambitious, right? You still want to have goals, still want to accomplish things, but you have to how do you balance that with also being content with where you are?
Man, I struggle with it if I'm being honest. I have a really hard time shifting gears. It's something I work on a lot. My wife's really good at kind of grounding me in that, especially having kids. Like when I get in work mode, and that's how I built the first company. It was just I was single, young. I could work 80 hours a week, and I can still get stuck in that. So man, Ethan, I don't know. I think I'm still trying to figure that out, honestly.
Hey, I like that answer. I like that you don't have the answers to all the answers, right? That's also the piece of podcasting that's very fun, because you get somebody's authentic answers. And so, um, taking back like all your career sides, all of your personal accomplishments, you've been around in a variety of the home services spaces. What's been like your hardest but most valuable leadership lesson you've learned so far?
Oh, that's a good question. I think at some point the light bulb went off for me that uh, whether it's an employee of my company or I'm in a position of leadership, that person that's uh, underneath you or that you're mentoring or leading is a customer. And I think when you make that mind shift, it really kind of changes, not just the perspective, but just how you just organically and subconsciously kind of move through that position where you're looking at that opportunity as, how am I providing value for this person so that they want to continue being a customer of mine?
Mhm.
And so it just provides a whole different, you just become wired different, I think, once you have um, that realization. And um, yeah, so
Do you think that, I guess this is another curious question. I mean, do you think that like people that are built different, like you just mentioned, like people are wired different? Do you think you can like obtain the skills, whether it's the soft skills and the hard skills, to be wired different? Or do you think that's just a natural thing that people are just equipped with that instinct?
I don't know. I really don't. I know that for me, my upbringing and where I started is a big part of that. I
Mhm.
just have an instinct of uh, just keep moving, just keep going. Um, if something's difficult, it's difficult probably for a good reason, and that's usually where the good stuff is in complexity and difficulties. And whether it's just something that's hard to figure out or it's something that's hard to get yourself to do, on the other side of that is usually kind of everything you want. And I don't know if I would have that if I didn't start where I started. Um, so I don't know. I really
I
don't.
think I think I like your point a lot, because I think what you're trying to get at is this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think mindset is built upon fears. Like, for example, like my biggest fear is why I work so hard is because like I want to provide for my future family. Like I want to make sure that they get blessings and they get to feel things that, maybe I didn't get to receive as a kid. But I know I had a great life growing up and no complaints there. But like I want that for my kids as well. So like I'm fearful, like sometimes, like when I lost my job a couple of years ago, like, man, like I gotta get back on track. What do I gotta do here? Like, because you're fearful of that stuff. Same thing with you, probably. Like you're probably very money driven at first because you're fearful. Like if I don't have that, I'm not gonna, feel safety. I'm not gonna feel comfortable. I'm gonna feel constant anxiety. So I guess, is that kind of what you're getting at?
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, you articulated it a lot better than I. For sure. No, really, for sure, because um, I do this thing, and I think I learned it from Tony Robbins. I'm not sure, but it's called the rocking chair test. And I just picture myself 80 years old on my porch in the rocking chair, looking out down at this exact moment or whatever exact moment I'm in, and deciding like, who do I want to be in this moment? And I have a huge fear of not living up to my potential and being in that position. And there's I'm sure most people know the author Brian Tracy, who's big on how to set goals and how to achieve them. One of the things that he says is how to set fear in your favor, where a lot of people will set a goal and they're really excited at first, and then all the obstacles start to pop up, and people really act on two different levels. It's either the need to avoid pain or the want to gain pleasure, and pain always wins. So you got to make pain work for you. So instead of thinking first the pleasure of owning a $20 million a year roofing company, and then all those obstacles popping up, and that's the pain and it drives you away, you think about the pain of what happens if I have a 10-year goal of a $20 million a year roofing company. What does it feel like in 10 years if I don't get there? Like, what does that pain feel like? And using that as the driver and the fear of getting to that point in your life and realizing you didn't do what in your heart you really wanted to do.
I love that. That's a great answer. I got to check out more about Brian Tracy a little bit, it sounds like.
Oh, he's great, man. He's got a book called Eat That Frog.
Okay.
Which is, kind of how to overcome procrastination. The idea is you do the thing you want to do the least first, and then everything's downhill from there, sort of thing. But he's awesome.
I think that's kind of my biggest struggle is sometimes I look at my days and my weeks and I know what's coming ahead, and I'm always kind of like, yeah, I got to do that thing first because I know it'll be the hardest. And then it's like, oh, I don't want to.
Yeah, totally. I think that's everyone's struggle for sure.
So how do you kind of combat that? How do you go through that?
Yeah. I've had to do it in different ways over the years. I've found stuff that worked, and then my brain has figured out what it's doing, right, and led me back into procrastination. Like, I know what you're doing. So I think it's an ongoing target for me. But what seems to work for me is just give it 5 minutes. You don't have to work on that for 3 hours. Just work on it for 5 minutes, and then set a timer, and then move on. And if it's, as long as you're doing 5 minutes every day, and you have that muscle, and once you start for 5 minutes, the alarm goes off and you just press stop, and at least I do, you just keep going. It's just that first initial shock, I guess, of getting started.
Totally. Kind of building upon all these things, upon the fears, the constant worries, a lot of that stuff, you have to make decisions, and you sometimes have to be a quick decision maker. Is there a decision that maybe has scared you, but ultimately has made you to the person you are today?
Oh, I'm sure there's a lot of them. I make quick decisions really fast. It's a strength and a weakness of mine. I can be pretty hasty sometimes, but I've always just done that. I think in entrepreneurship, especially, I think urgency is probably your best weapon. I think a lot of people have ideas, and ideas don't do anything if you can't execute. And executing is just moving forward. And most decisions you can fix, right? You can decide, you can see I made the wrong decision. The bigger risk is not making one. But yeah, along the way, when I quit my job, to go knock doors and sell roofs, that was scary. That's probably and I was I'm still a fairly introverted person. Like I was petrified to knock doors. Um, and so if I had to go back to one moment, it's probably that, just quitting that first job and going out, being completely self-reliant on myself and knocking that first door and pushing through that.
That's a cool story. That's cool. Um, it's a great tie-in to a lot of things because also, as you know, when you knock doors or when you're doing all those things out there, you're building relationships, and building relationships is key, especially in a lot of home services businesses. Like that's the key to things. Like I just had a plumber come to my house, and at our job, we've been reading the book called Unreasonable Hospitality, like going above and beyond about beyond all measure. And sometimes you don't even have to do like a crazy thing. And this plumber, I come back outside because I needed to run my wife's lunch bag over to her work because she forgot it. But I come back and all of a sudden the gutter is back on the wall or on the side of the wall because it fell off from the wind or something. I'm like, and I walk in, I'm like, who fixed the gutter? And then he's like, oh, yeah, I just took a look at it. I was like, oh, geez, man, like this is so cool. Um,
Yeah.
and I think that's what's going to go really far into the world today and into the future is just continuing to be a true person that shows genuine care about people. And I think that's kind of what you're getting at here is once you get past that fear of that, it's just going to naturally flow into a plethora of things. And it's going to get, um, you know, whether it's more leads or more businesses or more relationships. But I think ultimately it's just going to make us better people.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Relationships to me it has changed a lot from who I am now and what I was before. I mean, when you're knocking doors, like this company, we'll do some canvassing with this. We're not currently, but it'll be a pretty soft. Hey, we're in the neighborhood.
Hmm.
Do you need some help? Just introducing ourselves, just kind of getting another touch of our brand. Um, but the door knocking thing for me was never like it never resonated at the core for me. And I think now with this company, I want to build relationships that they don't yield necessarily right away. And when I say relationships, I mean like just a reputation in the market digitally as well as within the community. That yeah, maybe for a couple years we're not out there getting that immediate income from knocking on doors after a storm hits, but it's probably a cheesy way to say this, but to me it's like me meeting a girl at the bar and like that immediate like being able to leave with her, right?
Yep.
Versus taking the time and building the foundation of a relationship of somebody that you're going to marry and have kids with. And that takes a lot more time
Yeah.
and it takes a much different effort. And so for me, where I'm at, like relationships, and I think that's what drew me to you and Dennis,
Hmm.
is because that door knocking thing it worked for me for a time because it helped me get out of the environment that I was in financially. It was just never something I really loved. I didn't, even when I wasn't doing it and I had teams doing it, I just never loved it. And now like Dennis and you and you know, that sort of community that seems to be emerging. I think like the salesperson thing is kind of dying off, for good reason. People see it right away. They don't like it. The genuine, authentic consultant type looking out for the customer is really making an awesome comeback. And that resonates more with me. And so like seeing you and seeing Dennis has kind of given me that permission of like, hey, I can do this the way that feels better for me. And to me, like to your point, I think it just feels like I've grown up in what a relationship looks like as a business owner, as an entrepreneur. And I mean, you being young, it's awesome to see. It's really cool to see that's like I said, it's given me permission to be more authentic with how we're building this.
Yeah, I appreciate the compliments, and I think it's definitely the way that business is changing, and that not that like AI and all that stuff isn't great, but like for example, like I as a new homeowner, I'm gonna lead towards like if I call a company and it doesn't matter what it is, plumbing, roofing, HVAC, whatever it is, and a human answers the phone, I'm just going to be more inclined to work with them. And because that first hello is key to me. And if it's after business hours, completely understandable if an AI answers the phone. But like if it's 2 o'clock on a Friday, like I'm really hoping I'm speaking to a human there and building that relationship. And I think that's kind of what uh, I hope that all these industries start switching to is realizing like that first hello, that first couple of rings, that homeowner or potential person is really excited to talk to somebody, like just talking to somebody.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how this whole AI thing evolves. I use it a lot. I think you're not, you need to, but you can already really see how it should be used. I think, like I see posts on LinkedIn and stuff, and the substance is even maybe great, but as soon as I see like that AI structure, the M dashes,
I tune out.
immediately I'm like, I'm questioning, is this person's expertise that's been worked through AI a couple times? Or is it just AI pulling from its own understanding per the internet? I just question it immediately. And you can talk to AI in a way that when you post, it doesn't look like AI, right? But it'll be interesting to see how, like, there's this huge, like, awesome. Everyone's excited about it. Everyone's using it. Everyone's leveraging it. But I think there's going to be this, and I think it's fast coming. I kind of think it's already here, where consumers, even just subconsciously, can start to see that. And to your point, there's going to be, I think, a gold mine for the people that can figure out how to take AI, but bake in that human experience that is going to be completely lost in AI.
Yeah. And I think companies that figure that out, oh wow, you're gonna watch them grow and scale tremendously. There's a couple of cool companies that for sure they're gonna start putting lots of resources and time into that stuff for sure. Um, yeah, Eric, it's been really cool to hear how your definition of success has changed throughout this podcast. Some of your fears and anxieties that you had when you were young as an entrepreneur in the world has definitely shaped and changed. It's been pretty cool to get some of your advice and hear some of your challenges. Is there anything else that you want to share on today's episode?
Oh, I don't know, man. uh, like I said, first podcast, so it's just nice to get one under my belt, I guess. And in the comfort of your presence has been great. And I mean, I guess just I really appreciate you having me on, and uh, honestly, just being willing to have a relationship with me. Like I reached out cold to Dennis on LinkedIn, and I was shocked he responded for one, and then plugging me into you, and you've just been awesome. And so I guess just a message of gratitude to you, really.
Hey, I appreciate it. And we're excited to continue to build relationships and meet other people in the space, and excited to help in any sort of way. I think this is kind of the fun part about networking is just building the relationships. And um, I think that's honestly why I do this podcast, right? You get to network people, you meet people that are in your space, not in your space. They're an entrepreneur very early on. I think that's what's really exciting about the Encourage Mindset podcast and why I built it, because it doesn't matter who you are. You don't have to be famous. You don't have to be rich. It doesn't matter where you come from, what you do. Like just getting these people like yourself on a podcast and we get to have a conversation about things that I get to learn from and you get to learn something from. Like that's the coolest takeaway about podcasts. And that's why like having so many different variety of guests is so cool because everybody has a unique story to them. Like you explained yours today.
Yeah. And it's cool. It's authentic. And I can speak to that. I mean, you've shared stuff with me that people wouldn't be transparent about.
Yeah.
And, at first you're like, what does he want? uh, and it's just cool. It's cool that the authenticity that you're bringing to all this.
Cool. Well, appreciate you for coming on to the show and sharing all your advice and tips with everybody, and excited to continue this relationship as we go.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Ethan.